Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Connecting with Kim here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. We're so happy you joined us today. And you can catch the audio of our show on Sun Radio 96.3 FM in Sun City Center and on stream. I'm so excited about my guest in the chair today. I've known her for a while, and to have her on Connecting with Kim is just a real honor for me. And I know you're going to really love hearing all about this, because the goal of the show is to bring you people, places, and entities that you need to know about to make your life here in our corner of paradise that much better. And knowing about this place is definitely something important. So my guest in the chair is Kelly Kowall, who is the president and founder of My Warrior's Place in Ruskin, Florida. Welcome, Kelly, to Connecting with Kim.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my honor. I've known you, like I said, I've known you for a while, and I've just been waiting for this moment. And I always like to give my guests at the top of the show a few minutes, and you can take as long as you want, to share your life journey with our audience, and so that they have an understanding of who you are and what brought you to the point that we're going to talk about today. So take it away.
Thank you. Well, my son was always career-driven for the military, I should say, from the age of 5. He knew what he wanted to do. He was one of those special children that had a calling, and his was to be in the Army, airborne, used to practice jumping out of trees. We even, one time when he was maybe about 12, jumped out of a tree wrong and broke his collarbone, and we told him, you know, you're probably going to end your career before you ever get it off the ground. It's literally off the ground,
really,
you know. But he just had a love for the military. I used to seek out veterans, talk to them, and would come home and tell me what they talked about. It was just so precious to see him be so excited about veterans and what they did and what branch of the service they served in. And I wanted him to go to college, but he said, no, Mom, every veteran I've talked to always says that their best officers were always the ones that worked their way from the bottom up. And he went to summer school so he could become airborne even at the age of 17, so he graduated a year early. He wasn't even 18. We had to sign his enlistment papers for him, approving him to go in at 17. And he loved every minute of it. And he did make airborne and was stationed at Fort Bragg. And of course, I think every parent is aware that they could get that knock on the door. You know that they all signed the same paperwork, willing to put their life on the line. And his first deployment to Afghanistan in September of '09, he was killed on a combat mission, and so I got the dreaded knock on the door. That just imploded my life and changed it forever. And thankfully, I had been a life coach, and so I knew that I needed to get my hands on anything to do with grief and navigate this new journey in life. And that's basically how everything came to be, because of his life given for our country. And he started coming to me in dreams right after he was killed. I think I told you that. And he has led me on this journey. I always tell people I really believe God said, who's got a mother stupid enough on earth not to know we're going to feed her an elephant until she's 3/4 of the way through? And my son was jumping up and down, screaming, my mom, she's clueless, but she's a hard worker.
Oh.
So, yeah, this is truly amazing. It amazes me what has transpired out of his death, and how many veterans and active duty and how many law enforcement and firefighters and their families, and even the families of the fallen, we've been able to touch with the nonprofit.
So I first want to say, of course, we are grateful, number one, for his service, but number two, we are, as a nation, and me personally, and everybody in this studio, sorry for your loss, because we know that nothing that you do after that will replace that loss. Was he your only child, Kelly?
No, he wasn't my only child, but he was my only son.
Yeah.
And he was a mama's boy. His sisters were daddy's girls. So, you know, the death of a loved one serving in the military a lot of times can implode the family. It also just is devastating to those that they serve with.
Right.
And I saw that with my own eyes, what happened, and in talking to his brothers in arms that he served with, I will say, you know, they talk about how they are brothers in arms, and they are. When you look into their eyes and you're talking to them and you see the tears, you realize how much they cared and loved that soldier, that brother.
Well, I would imagine it is a very close bond because, you know, you go through training together, and that is very arduous. It is meant to test you, both mentally and physically. So you go through training together. You learn to depend on each other. In fact, you learn that your very life depends on the actions of those other people.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that establishes some very close bonds, because the bond of trust is the most important bond you can have in any relationship. Not just that one, but a friendship, a marriage, whatever. That bond of trust is paramount.
Exactly.
So so your son has passed, and you're navigating this new terrain, the terrain of your life after this loss, this tremendous loss, and he is coming to you. And I really, you're preaching to the choir here, because I believe in that. I mean, you know, I went through the death of my husband, who I was married to for 41 plus years, and I know that he has come to me many times in many situations and helped me.
Yeah.
And no one will ever convince me otherwise. Yeah. So, yeah. So now you're navigating this new terrain. So what happened next?
Well, I think the biggest thing was for him to start coming to me in dreams. He wanted me to buy this boat that was up for sale alongside the road that I had traveled one day, and he was very insistent that I purchase it and take veterans and active duty and families of the fallen out to his favorite places. We both had the love of water, had become certified scuba divers together when he was 13, recertified when he was 16, and so, you know, it wasn't unusual that he was coming to me wanting me to buy a boat, but my mom and I were having a good chuckle over me becoming a boat captain. And
I don't know, I can see it. I can.
Yeah, so, I mean, after the fifth night of having the dream, I literally sat up in bed and said, Corey, please, please, please do not make me buy this boat. You know why we used to joke about them being called boats, break out another 1,000?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so I got up the next morning. My mom asked me if I had the dream again. I said yes, and wasn't getting good night's sleep. When you have PTSD, it makes it worse when you don't get enough sleep.
Right.
So she suggested I go back to where the boat was. Maybe it would be gone. Stop the dreams. Sounded like it was way out of my price range. I only had $2,500 to spend on a boat, which doesn't buy you much of a boat.
No.
So I drove back. The boat was there. I called the number. Gentleman answered. I started asking him a bunch of questions, and he finally interrupted me, and he said, ma'am, have you ever owned a boat before? No. Do you know that they're expensive? Cost a lot of money to keep up?
Yeah.
Yes. Have you ever driven a boat before? No. Are you calling for your husband? No. Then do you mind if I ask why you're calling about this boat? And I'm like thinking,
How much do I really want to share with this guy, right?
Yeah. Well, my main concern was he was going to call law enforcement and Baker Act me. You know, I did not want to be put in a straitjacket.
Right.
And so, you know, I just kind of thought, and I said, you know, it's a little complicated. Just answer me one more question. How much do you want for the boat? And he said $7,000. And I went,
okay,
thank you very much. Sorry to have wasted your time. And I started to hang up, and I could hear him say, lady, wait. Yes. And he goes, you never did tell me why you wanted the boat. And I'm thinking, okay.
Well, you got nothing to lose at this point, so you might as well tell him.
Yeah, well, that, and I had a 727 area cell phone, and I was in an 813 area code area, so I figured I could ditch the phone and tell the police, I don't know, it got stolen.
It fell in the canal.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So I told him the truth, and he said, lady, I'm a veteran. If that's why you want the boat, I'll sell it to your trailer and all for $2,000.
See, it was meant to be.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
I mean, you just can't argue with that kind of...
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next day, brought a friend out who was a boat mechanic to look it over, and he said, buy the boat. So I bought the boat, and about 2-3 weeks later, I did my first boating trip with a group of Vietnam veterans. And we get done, and everybody's saying their goodbyes, and this one big old burly Vietnam veteran came over to me and gives me this big old hug, and I could feel him start to shudder. I knew he was starting to cry. I said, please don't start crying, because if you do, I'm going to be a puddle right here. Because no, you don't understand. This is the first time since I got back from Vietnam that I felt somebody really cared about my service.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. And he just went on and on and on. But then finally he said, but you've got one problem. And I'm like, you just told me this was wonderful, this was healing, everything was great. What is the problem? He goes, you're going to need a bigger boat.
and maybe a place.
Yeah. Had no idea that was going to happen. But, you know, that kind of started to make me realize more needed to be done than just a boat ride. And so then started to put a program together to help with PTSD and grief, that dealing with the tragedies that they've had to endure. And so, I mean, long story short, we got the program together and then realized that a hotel setting really wasn't the place to do this program.
Well, before we launch into the program further, let's just take a short, if you're just joining us now on Connecting with Kim, and you better stay tuned, and you better rewind and watch the whole thing, my guest in the chair is Kelly Kowall, who is the president and founder of My Warrior's Place in Ruskin, Florida. And we are just now, you know, we've been going through what led to the founding, I know we're going to get there, to the founding of My Warrior's Place. So we had the boat. We have been giving servicemen and veterans rides on the boat to help them process many things they've been going through. And now we've realized that the boat, the hotel, we really need something different, right? So here we go.
So that started us looking for property. And our attorney on the board said, go talk to zoning before you purchase anything. And we learned from zoning that we were going to need commercial property or multi-purpose land, which now I'm thinking, oh my God, how's that going to happen? We have no money, less property available, more expense to purchase. But one day, Sunday, overwhelming urge to get on Zillow, not realizing that Zillow really doesn't do commercial property.
Well, yeah, it's limited. Now, was Corey was he still communicating with you through dreams at this point still?
Not just in dreams, but in various other ways too.
Okay.
That, I mean, some of them really sometimes freaked me out because, you know, like one time I actually got a text message from him. How does that happen?
How does that happen?
You know, so.
But I believe anything is possible myself. If you're a person of faith, you believe anything is possible.
Yeah. Right? But there was a property that showed up on that. So I thought, what if I could go talk to the owner and explain what we're doing? Would they work with us? So drove there. I'm looking in the windows of the house thinking, this will work, but we'll outgrow it quickly. And then I heard next door a skill saw, so I'm like, yoo-hoo. So he came out and he said, yeah, what can I do for you? And I said, do you know who owns this house? And he goes, yeah, I do. And I went, great. And he goes, well, I did. I just sold it yesterday.
Oh, no.
And I'm like,
You're crestfallen.
yeah, oh, no. And he's like, why? And I go, it's kind of a long story. And he goes, I need a break. Tell me your story.
Yeah.
So I told him his story, and I told him the story, and he said, you know, I have another piece of property up the road that is much bigger. And he said, I've always felt it had a purpose. I just didn't know what it was until you came here. And I said, I think I saw that. Is that the one you're asking like over $650,000 for? Over $500,000 for? He said, yeah, that's the one. I said, what part of less than $500 in my bank account did you not hear? Because, no, he said, I heard it. He said, but I own it outright. I can finance it for you. And if you want to go look at it, I can lower the price, no money down, 4% interest over 20 years, and will delay your first payment for up to 6 months so you can get it cleaned up and habitable. And
this is the site where you are now that I've been to, right?
Yes,
okay.
correct.
Yeah, I just want to let you all know, I've been to My Warrior's Place in Ruskin. I've been to some events there. I've toured the whole facility. And it's an amazing, amazing place you have there.
Yes. And it wasn't when we got it, though.
No, well, nothing is. I mean,
drug addict squatters were on the property,
yeah.
so we had to go through the eviction process and then.
But it's right on the water.
But it's on the water.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely
So
gorgeous.
now we've got the birth of My Warrior's Place,
Yep.
and My Warrior's Place is an NPO. It's a nonprofit. And so we've got the birth of My Warrior's Place. So you've gotten the land. You see, all these doors are opening to you because they were supposed to, right? Yeah. Because I know during this whole process, you're probably asking yourself, what am I doing?
Well,
why am I doing this? Where is this going to lead?
Yeah. Mainly, we bought it, and I'm just thinking, okay, got a bad roof here on one of them. Is this going to, get us through at least a year? I mean, there was just so much work. But I just, again, you have that faith that things are going to work out. 3 weeks after purchasing the property, though, we had Tropical Storm Debbie, and it took the roof off. And I'm now questioning, okay, God, Corey, if this is really what, why did you have me buy this? I don't have the money to fix this. How do you expect me, to fix it? And it was just a matter of days, and I got a phone call from a roofing company saying, we heard you lost your roof. We'd like to come put a new one on at no expense to you. And I mean,
amazing.
I just broke down and cried.
So let's, because we're, this goes fast. We've filmed for 27 minutes. Let's talk to the folks about what does My Warrior's Place do? What is your mission, and what do you provide it? Who do you provide it to?
My Warrior's Place mission is to support and bring hope and healing to veterans, to military service members, law enforcement, firefighters, both actively serving and those that have gotten out, and their families. So immediate family, parent, sibling, spouse, child, and families of the fallen. And that's what we do there. We have 5 amazing programs that we provide, and it's unlike anything out there.
It is.
I can't.
Totally unique.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I have been told by a veteran or a retired law enforcement firefighter that is really struggling, that they would have probably been one of the 22 had My Warrior's Place not exist. Have so many that we've been able to help even in a time of need, whether it's putting a roof over their head for a very short amount of time while they get help to have a house, or like right now we've got somebody coming in, it's a couple, and they lost their roof during Ian.
Yeah.
And so they have, another nonprofit has stepped up to help them put the roof on, but it's, you know.
But they need a place to live.
Well, it's.
And you have, how many, now remind me again of how many houses there are on the property now.
We have 4 1-bedroom, 1-baths, 2 studios, 3 2-bedrooms, and 1 3-bedroom, 2-bath cottages. And then we have a couple cottages where we have full-time volunteers staying in, as we have to have people on the property.
Well, of course you do.
Yeah.
It's a piece of property.
Yeah.
It, you know, it needs care and maintenance.
Well, you never know, too, if a pipe's going to break or a fire breaks out or what. We have to have somebody there to be able to handle the emergencies. And even just when somebody comes to the property and maybe needs to talk to somebody, if they don't feel they're qualified, they can contact us. But I think it's just having a place where they know that everyone there understands because they've been there and done that.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
So officially, I mean, so officially, how long has My Warrior's Place been there? Since what date?
May of 2012.
Okay, May of 2012. And so how many people would you say that you have provided this incredible and needed solace and service to?
Over 50,000.
Over 50,000. I mean, I've been to your place, and it's just beautiful. The setting is beautiful. I've toured some of the cottages and accommodations. There was a meal we had there that was incredible. You have a lot of outdoor areas where you can. So we're running out of time. So I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to share with the folks that are watching and listening. You know, what your biggest challenges are and what you need, because I want them to support you. So you look into that camera and you tell them what you want.
Thank you. Yeah, our 2 biggest needs are really funding and volunteers. That's what we need to continue this mission and to be able to help. And we're 100% volunteer run right now, so the volunteers are crucial for us to be able to do what we do, but the funding is equally as crucial. So if you can't come volunteer sometime, even $5 makes a difference. It's huge for us. And you know, they can go to our website and make a donation there.
Give them the name of the website.
www.mywarriorsplace.org. They can go to our Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/My Warrior's Place. We always have various raffles or fundraising events coming up that they can attend and support. And we also have my book.
Yeah, I want you to talk about the book because I want that. You know,
takes them on my 5-year journey, starting 1 week before I get the knock on the door. And we do sell these, and proceeds all go to My Warrior's Place. And so if they want a good read, most people say they can't put it down, but it talks about some of the things that we've talked about today here in the stories. So.
Well, the journey is important, in my opinion, for My Warrior's Place, because I've been there, but the journey of how it happened and how you got there is critical to understanding what My Warrior's Place is all about.
Yeah.
And it's critical in understanding the incredible service that you provide to these people that have experienced life-altering situations.
Sure, yeah.
That they may or may not fully recover from.
Right, right. And, you know, a lot of people think we're for homeless veterans. We're not. That's not what we do. That's not our mission.
No.
Our mission is to provide a place where they can come and maybe stay overnight, up to 2 weeks on vacation or just as a getaway, but a place where they can come just if they need like what I call timeout time
Yeah.
from this crazy world,
Right.
Where they can just come and sit on our docks, grab a canoe, a kayak, throw in a fishing line to catch some fish, talk to somebody if they want to share or feel like talking would help them. But we have people that come and they'll just sit on the dock and watch the sunset, and that just helps them to balance their day.
It's you know, I hope you gave us, or you're going to give us some pictures that we can add to the final interview, because they really make a difference. And I want people to see how beautiful My Warrior's Place is, because it really is. It is a, you know, sanctuary and solace can be found there. So Kelly, I want to thank you so much for being my guest on Connecting with Kim. I love what you do. I know other people that love what you do. You operate strictly off of donations. You don't get funding from anybody.
We have no government funding, no deep pockets.
Which so I'm like not happy about that, because my attitude is, you broke them, you fix them.
Yeah.
And don't enter into conflict unless you understand that there's going to be broken people out of this, and you have to take care of them.
Yeah.
So I'm so appreciative that you're my guest today on Connecting with Kim. Kelly Kowall, who is the president and founder of My Warrior's Place in Ruskin, Florida. I want you to go to their website, mywarriorsplace.org, and look at it, know more about it, but more importantly, donate. Because any bit you donate, I promise you, will be put to good use, because I've been there and I know. That's all we have time for today on Connecting with Kim. I want to thank you for joining us here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. You can also find us on Sun Radio, 96.3 FM in Sun City Center and on stream. And I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, for providing my on-air wardrobe. And I want to thank you for tuning in. Please come back next week for another edition of Connecting with Kim.